Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. Welcome to WOR and welcome to PC's Tier 2. You join us tonight for the third round of the season, and what a season it has been in just the first two rounds so far. I am joined in the commentary box by none other than the royalty himself, King Kodiak, aka King Car Park. How are you doing, my good sir?
Very, very good. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, Mr. Sappy. Still recovering from, I think, eating the world's first nuclear-powered chicken wings. My mouth is burning and I'm dreading the aftermath. But that is a different matter. We head to an Italian classic. We're not referring to Monza. We, of course, are referring to Imola. I make no apology for my love of this circuit. I absolutely adore it. And we have got a great championship shaking up. Our victor from round one, JST, was not with us last time out. His main rival, Joris Krutzen, taking the win last time out, along with a strong show from Kai Pearson, gives us currently an Alpine 1-2 and McLaren 3-5 chasing at their heels as well. What does tonight hold? Only one way to find out.
Yeah, when you look at the standings, you say Joris Krutzen, 40 points currently sitting on the standings, and that is a heck of a margin because Alpine, as a constructor, Alpine dominating. 1-2, Kai Pearson in second with 26 points. I believe he is also joining us tonight, but a little bit later in the session, I think during quali rather than at the start. I'm just looking and getting some confirmation here. But we are going to jump into quali any second. Rest of the standings, JST in third place, 25 points, single point behind Kai Pearson, with Nando Moreira in 18 points and good form in the Ferrari. Joel Marquardt, P5, and that is where he finds himself tied with Race Imtiaz in P6. You can see the rest of the standings are sort of fairly following suit. Leroy Brown in P7, Leo London P8, Sisson Linhart, highest rank in reserve, 12 points, with a very, very solid result in Saudi Arabia. And then Riccardo Benzoni in the Williams with 10 points, with top 10 for the drivers' standings. And this is just the third round, keep in mind, folks, because we are going to have quite the corker of a season. Of course, Imola tonight, Baku next week, Canada the week after, and then you've got a pretty brilliant season lined up. Imola, like you said, amazing circuit. I love it just as much, although not as much as you. I definitely do love it all the same. It's a racetrack that's steeped in history, a racetrack that has certainly earned its rightful place as one of the greats.
Very, very true. It's really quite a difficult circuit. It's not, doesn't offer too many overtaking opportunities. Although saying that does depend on how brave you are. First chicane tends to be one of the more common overtaking spots. That's very anti-Tamburello. Villeneuve, you can make a move there if somebody gets the first chicane a little bit wrong. Toza, you would think a slow hairpin would be prime overtaking opportunity. It is, but there's such a short run from the Villeneuve chicane to Toza, so it doesn't really give as many opportunities as you might think. To good old Italian weather, it is bone dry and burning hot, so our drivers will no doubt be enjoying that. Well, that's at least how qualifying is looking. The race may not necessarily be so inclined. Where else are we going to see some action? Aqua Minerale is downhill braking zone into a pair of really tricky to get right-handers, and then up the hill in the short run to what is now known as Grissini, Variante Alta when we were young. Again, really easy to get wrong, but then you've got the downhill run down to the double left-hand Ravazza. Get turn 19 was the exit of the second part of Ravazza. Get that one wrong, and you are really carrying that penalty a long way. And that essentially talks us around a lap of this wonderful circuit. Qualifying underway, and it's not long before vast majority of the field have broken cover. 19 drivers take to the field.
Yep, and we're going to jump on board trackside now as drivers are starting their outlaps at least. And you're going to be seeing ahead of the queue and around the midway point of the circuit, just coming up to Piratella here, it's going to be Bogdan Moldovan. Driver we've seen in good form, but having a couple of wobbles. I wonder how they're going to perform here in that Williams.
Well, only time will tell. As Bogdan Moldovan indeed leading the field away. Only 3 drivers yet to break cover. One of them is actually our championship leader, Joris Krotzen, has decided to wait out the qualifying session. It's fine. He's letting everyone else get their feet in, so to speak. Nico Benz, that's a name I'm not familiar with. Welcome to you in the Haas. So he also has yet to move. So it's good to see some reserves still able to take the field. So Nico Benz is not a name I'm personally familiar with. But Bogdan Moldovan is exiting Ravata to start his first lap of the night.
Yeah, Nico Benz had a little bit of a absent spell at the start of the season, but it looks like they're going to be making their stand. But all eyes now on Bogdan Moldovan, heading into the first chicane, heavy on the brakes there. Gear 5, he carries the speed through. Out of Tamburello, looking very nice, very sharp, very clean. Then right to the edge of the circuit, take a bit of the curb as he takes it through Villeneuve now, into Tosa. Starting to go up that hill here. You can see that he is trying his best, even in this outlap, in this banker lap, so to speak. He is really giving absolutely everything to try and get the best time he can. Piratella now looking in very fine form whatsoever, being very careful not to overextend and get himself an invalidation. You got here Aqua Minerale as well, very easy to overextend across the curb. Kind of beat yourself, take a little bit of inspiration from some skateboarding, but not to be had today. And then Variantiata coming out in that final chicane. And then the last couple of corners, it's looking on good form for Bogdan Moldovan. Final sector now, heading down the hill, heavy on the brakes once again. Try and take the momentum of the car, let that aero do the work. Mechanical grip of those stops coming in clutch, coming up to the line. It is a 13.595. That is your benchmark.
All right, one of the Astons coming up next. Who's it going to be? It's straight into the pits then. It was Sammy Chemsey that came in. Thomas Laminen was briefly at the top. JST, our round one winner, our champion from last season. Well, again, was briefly at the top of the tree. Julian Klaffenbach in the Haas is next to take the top of the standings. 13.279. Now the benchmark time. More cars coming over the line. Oh, well, Arias Intia, podium sitter from last time out, came home in third position. Yes, there was some shuffling due to penalties, but Reyes came home with that third place finish. Although, well, we did get to speak to him, so he was actually a podium finisher last time out anyway, penalties or not. So Reyes now gets to the top, and look how close that is. Just was 11 thousandths between himself and Julian Klaffenbach. Leo Lund jumps up into third with a 13.341 in the Red Bull. Is that the last of our competitive times? It may well be. Ricardo Benzoni, he's cruising around. I think everyone else has, yes, everyone else has already crossed the line. So quite a few invalid laps on this time out. So Sammy Chemsey and Nico Benz. So Nico, say his maiden lap in this tier in this season. So now he has an opportunity to assert, yet to prove that he is tier 2, I can't even say the right words. Tier 2 material. Yeah, not questioning why he's here, but now he has a chance to prove I am here and this is why.
Yeah, it's certainly earning his keep. I think that's going to be the theme for some of these drivers here tonight, because after, for some, having a bit of a rough spell in the first couple of rounds, we've seen some big winners, some big losers all across the field. So now is going to be the proving grounds for a lot of them to see whether they have the chops to hang with the absolute best of the best. We're going to see a few more cars currently on their outlaps. So Chemsey, Moreira and Benz all taking a bit of a different approach to quali. They're not following the cadence of the rest of the field. They're going to be going while the track is relatively clear. But simultaneously, if they time this wrong, Moreira in particular, only just coming through Piratella now, he could come out right into traffic.
I think Nico Benz is going to be a bit caught out here. There's certainly a couple of cars, at least two, that are leaving the pit lane. He might get away with it. It really depends on how many others have chosen to hit the button and get out there. But here comes Nico Benson over the line, screaming his way towards the Varianti Tamburello. Once again, his teammate stands out of the way, as does the next car. Very nicely done. It is one of the Alphas next. Flirts with that outside line coming through the second part of Tamburello. And again, everybody's staying out of the way. Very nicely done. So Nico Benz lives to complete the lap. Into Toza. Car very clumsy through that slow left-hander. Now starting to climb the hill. It's almost a sluggish acceleration. It is quite a steep climb up towards the Piratella. Chucks it in, gets it to stick down the hill. Acqua Minerale doesn't quite hit the first apex, gets in the second one nicely. The car nice and settled at the moment. A half decent run here for Nico Benz. Now down through the gearbox once more for Grassini. Rides the cabs. The cab's not too drastic at that point. Doesn't wander too wide on the exit. Very nicely done. Back down the hill. Ravazza now awaits. Very easy to fly off into the dust. Fairly steady lap then from the Haas. What can he do then? With a DRS open when he can. Bettering already down. Whoa, steady lap indeed. Well, a 13.238. I honestly didn't think it was going to be into the 13.2s. It looked good. It did look so. And there it is. Valentina Labella this time is the one to get the 5-place penalty. Almost inevitable. I mean, it is a short lap. It is only 75 seconds in length. So not a huge amount of space out there, but wow, did Nico Benz turn up and show what he's worth.
The crazy thing is, he didn't even get a sector best at any point. It was just raw consistency and linking it together. He was so aggressive with some of his lines and getting onto the curbs just to shorten his line. Morera now coming through 13.333 there, so looking very clean, very sharp, and looking very nice. 8 milliseconds ahead of Leo Lund down in P5. Chemsey as well, he got a 0.621. It's going to slot in P12 for now, but he knows that he's going to have to get into the at least 0.3s if he wants to make a mark. A few more drivers are now going to be taking their chances. In particular, Julian Klaffenbach, one that made an early impact this season, and one is going to continue his form. I have to say, Kodiak, I don't think I've ever heard sluggish acceleration and F1 car in the same sentence.
Comparatively. It feels sluggish. I mean, everyone that's ever driven these cars, obviously in a virtual sense, if you've driven one in a real sense, good on you. You might want to give it back. They might notice you pinched it.
Invalidation for Clapperbach. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, mate. But
I was actually running on board with him when he did it. Maybe that was right. Maybe the extra weight of me hanging onto the T-bar put him off a little bit. But yeah, it just wandered a little bit too deep on the second part of Acqua Minerale. And that was the end of that lap.
It's so easy
everybody
to
knows what these cars.
section.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Acqua Minerale that had gone wrong.
Yeah, no, it is very easy to invalidate on that section.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I thought you said that wasn't where he did it. It's very easy to get it wrong in Acqua Minerale. You want to be, straight lining in any kind of chicane complex as much as you can. But there's only really one way of doing Acqua Minerale, but you still push on to try and get through as quickly as you can. As Kai Pearson has joined the session, only 8 minutes of it left. Can he come out? I'm not 100% sure he can. As Joel Marquardt now gets to the top of the tree in the second McLaren, 113.161. His teammate, JST, our current champion, is just on the rise towards the Piratella now. Catches the first apex. He's wandering over the runoff on the right-hand side. Now down the hill. Here is the Acqua Minerale. He's now through. Very nicely done. Very aggressive through the apexes. He is catching, I think it's one of the alphas he's catching up to. Again, flirting with the track limits to try and straight line Grassini as much as he can, which you've got to do, but it's very, very risky. The track limits will bite you. Downhill braking zone of Ravazza is again very easy to get wrong, but JST showing why he's champion. Can he get the top of the tree? Yes, he can with a 13.125.
So far, McLaren 1-2. Excellent stuff from the both of them. They saw the Alpine dominance in the driver standings, and they were having absolutely none of it. So let's see how the Alpines respond, because as it stands, both of them still yet to set a time. We've got about 7 minutes left to go here in this quali session, and both of the Alpines are looking a little bit worse for wear in terms of strategy on the quali side.
Kai has only just appeared to give him a slight bit of
okay, I'll give the mulligan to Kai. I will give the mulligan here.
But Joris hasn't left the pit lane, has he?
Yeah, that's more what I'm focused on. Say Joris, in a very dominant position, he hasn't left the pit.
Is he go? is he going for the one lap wonder right at the end? I mean, all credit to him if he does. That's bold to do that. But Kai Pearson not wasting any time. As soon as he's in the session, he is now out on track. He himself is coming to Toza. That he's going to be doing the kind of contra strategy. He's going to be trying to time it so the track is empty when he is doing his lap. But that is more by my happenstance than by design, as Nico Benz as his name to the fairly irrelevant penalty board. So we will be having a lobby restart at the end of the session, as is customary when that penalty has been triggered. I'm going to keep a very close eye on Kai Pearson. Very strong championship contender last season and currently second, 14 points behind his teammate Joris, who still hasn't left the pit lane. So we've got 5.5 minutes to go. Like I said, it's not a particularly long track, so we can still leave it a few more minutes to do that all or nothing, do or die Banzai lap. And actually, Kai is back in the pits, so choosing to just have a bit of a shakedown, making sure everything is working. But he's putting himself in a position where it's going to be all or nothing. Yone Dobsan, the only other driver to not set a lap time, he's just coming down to Ravazza, so he's putting a fair bit of pressure on his shoulders. Some people do. Some people relish in that all or nothing kind of... I don't. I would have much preferred to have set at least one banker lap by now, but yeah, each to their own. Yone Dobsan in the AlphaTauri is now on his way.
Yeah, this is why I'm a college teacher and not a school teacher. Exams, not for me. But for some, they absolutely thrive on that 11th hour pressure. And I think Yone Dobsan and both the Alpines in this situation might be no exception. The AlphaTauri looking very clean through this first sector here into Tosa. Little bit wide, but snatches it into the apex coming up the hill. Very nicely done there. And we're going to see how he handles just coming up with the crest. Piratella now is going to be feathering the throttle a little bit, noticing there maybe he's not as strong on some of his lines, but Aqua Minerale, moment of truth, very close to the line, takes it a little bit safer than some of the others. Moreira in all of that, 0.093, amazing stuff from the Ferrari driver. Let's see if anyone can ledge a reasonable counter to it. We have got 4 minutes, so everyone has got a chance for one more run. Let's see though. Yone Dobsan coming down to the final couple of corners now, very close to the gravel, really trying to extend as much of the track as he can, carry as much speed, and no, it's an abandon. It's in the pits, despite what looked like a run that could have potentially got him at least into the middle of the grid.
I'm genuinely surprised by that, because that was looking very, very hot indeed. And with an empty track, that... I'm genuinely surprised. Was not expecting Yone to abandon that one. Unless he's on a quali ban. That's the only thing I can think of. The McLarens, both of them are coming out. Here we go. The pit lane is getting busy with departing cars. We are hitting what I affectionately call the Banzai phase. I think the only one that isn't going to be able to improve is Nando Moreira. He's not going to have time to get back, because he's not really pushing. I think actually his fuel tank is empty. So I don't think he's going to have time to get to the pits, reshoe, and get that outlap done in time. So yeah. Nando Moreira may well be done. 1:13.093, his best, currently top of the charts. We'll see if the Ferrari will remain there. Our lead Ferrari of the season, he currently sits fourth, just behind JST. Was podium behind our last season's champion in round one. Wasn't able to score points last time out. Such is the nature of this season. Actually, quite a few seasons where we've had very kind of yo-yoing results. Look at him. Right on board with JST. It's getting a little bit busy over there in Tosa.
I was just on board with Marquardt there. I got the other side of that. And you can see they're trying to get that positional advantage because nobody wants to be stuck behind another car come quali. It's going to be a little bit of fireworks, I think, before we hit that final lap run. A Banzai phase is certainly a good way to put it. I think you're right that Moreira isn't going to improve, but a heck of a statement to set. He got the best Sector 2 time, 25.03, so he has got himself in good standing. But yeah, he's just not going to have enough time to get out there, get enough fuel burn in particular, which is really crucial for these final laps. You can see, at least for some of these drivers, they're absolutely hammering the engine, just trying to burn as much fuel as possible. And then
he's coming out again.
Oh, saying that, it's going to be right down to the wire if he does go for it and he wants to go for that fuel burn. Not happy with a 0.0.
Yeah, I was going to have to say he's going to really have to hammer it because he came out the pit lane on around about 120. So
he's going to effectively have to do 2 quali laps.
Basically, yeah, he's going to have to absolutely fly, but he's going to try and use as little battery as he can. That's going to be a little bit close. We have got cars that are starting their final runs. Joel Marquardt leads the way.
Yeah, Marquardt now coming down in through Tamburello. You're going to see that chicane be very punishing to some, but very good line. Keeps the momentum. It's almost like a pendulum in a way, some of these corners and chicanes. It really is amazing to see. Nico Benz, however, not only getting 5 seconds, a disqualification from the session for blocking, which I don't think I've seen. So he's going to have to...
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure whether that's going to be a position preserved or a position that is going to be taken as P20. We'll have to see with the stewards. And I think a couple of these drivers maybe were right earlier about serving a quali ban. You have to check the stewards' inquiries before we jump into the race good and proper. Marquardt, in all of that though, in all of our ramblings and all of our efforts, he's coming through. He's coming to the final sector now, down the hill. Durabatsa turns 13, keeping it tight to the right-hand side before swinging his car in. The checkered flag has fallen. This is a final runs from our entire grid here, folks. Everyone is out on track except Nico Benz, but Marquardt, 12.9. He is your initial benchmark. Few more drivers going to be coming through now. Next on the pitch, JST. 3.018. So McLaren 1-2 as it currently stands. Can anyone challenge it? Klaffenbach, P5. That's going to be a really good run there. Then you've got Sammy Chemsey heading into the pits. Not going to be taking a one on this time. Leroy Brown, P13. Lefted, aka Conor Moyer, coming up to the line now. Only going to be P8. Not going to improve. Next couple of drivers. Leo Lund in P4, 0.117. And you can see the rest of the drivers start to filter through.
I'm keeping an eye on Joris Grotzen as more cars come over the line to finish their times. Andre Molnar, one of them. Benzoni at the top of the tree. But what can Joris Grotzen do? It is 6th with a 13.247. Oh my goodness me. Kai Pearson back in the pits again. He did not complete a single lap this time around. What about Maria? I think he's going to be the last one over the line. Here he comes. 13.093 his time. No improvement, remains in 4th. Riccardo Benzoni in the Williams gets the top of the tree by 22 thousandths over Joel Marquardt. Only 2 drivers to break 113.
Amazing stuff from Benzoni coming out of complete nowhere. Really, really amazing stuff. Fun fact, he and Joris Krotzen, identical sector 1 time, 23.554. But it was that consistency. He shaved half a tenth in the second sector, and he shaved yet another half a tenth in the third. And that was the clincher. That's what he needed. But here are your quali standings, ladies and gentlemen. You have Benzoni taking the top honours, taking pole position here in Imola, with the McLaren making it 2 and 3. Very good stuff from the both of them. Moreira takes P4 with the Ferrari, with the Red Bull of Leo Lund taking P5. Joris Krotzen in the Alpine. We were worried he wasn't going to place, but does make a swing in the dying session of, or in the dying hours of the session, so to speak, sorry, with Klaffenbach, Reyes Imtiaz, aka Black Box, Yone Dobzan, Conor Moyer, aka Lefted, Bogdan Moldovan, Valentino Labella, Andre Molnar, Tom97, Leroy Brown, Thomas Laminen, Daniel Gottschalk, Sammy Chemsey, Kai Pearson, and Nico Benz rounding off your order. Interesting that Kai didn't even set a lap on the boards, Kodiak.
Not a single one.
He went into the pit.
He did. On his last run, he pitted it. And curious to know why. I mean, the checkered flag was already out. He may as well have done. So I don't really see why Kai just binned it. But that was his decision. He chose to bring that one in. But Nico Benz, I've never seen it. I've never seen a disqualification because of that penalty. So I genuinely don't know how that is going to be handled. Will they reinstate his previous time? But yeah, the driver's chat is. It looks like he's being asked what his time was, and the only reason he would ask that is that to reinstate his time. So yeah. I confess I didn't actually make a note of what his time was. He was saying it was a 2:38 or 2:37. I think 1,000ths of a second you could be forgiven for not knowing exactly. It will be reinstated. Okay,
Yep.
so we have had confirmation that it will be reinstated. Essentially, that has denied him the opportunity in that last run.
Yeah, it will get the full reinstated statement there, and of course we can go back in the stream. Joyce was streaming on YouTube. You can go back and they'll be able to see what the time was before his time got scrubbed from the boards for the disqualification. We will be taking a session restart, folks, so we'll be with you back in just a second after a word from a good sponsor of ours. And welcome back, folks. Of course, go check out our partners over at Gridfinder, Next Level Racing. Really happy to have them supporting us and what we do here at WOR. And what a quali! Benzoni, out of nowhere. Amazing lap. I really wish it was on board for that, because I'm sure it would have been just like a masterclass in motion.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. Again, no disrespect to Benzoni, as that was, but he was very much out of nowhere. He's scored 10 points so far over the last couple of races. So again, a consistent point scorer, we can say, but hasn't been troubling the podium. And suddenly pulls an absolute blinder out of nowhere. And you can't say that wasn't on merit. Not even the current champion could quite match it. Looking at the driver tag, it looks like Nico Benzoni in his first race of this season is going to be starting in P6. So that's a very solid qualifying position. Or if it's not P6, it's somewhere around there, which in a field like this is a cracking performance.
Yeah, Ben's going into P6. He has sort of proven himself generally around the scene to be a fast driver. But yeah, unfortunate that he had that sort of happen to him. He is going to be reinstated. It's looking like it is going to be P6, so he is going to take the spot on that third row, right alongside or just ahead of, I believe, Joris Crossen. So that will be interesting to see how the start of the race plans out. And we will, of course, see what it looks like in terms of weather as well. I believe it is going to be full dry. At least that's what my data tells me. Telemetry, the wonderful, wonderful wizardry that it is. And that sort of leaves us with a few questions. Drivers' Championship, I'm looking in particular, was great stuff from the McLarens, both of them. Nando Moreira proving why he's P4 in the drivers' standings and set to look at the podium, because Crossen in P6 on qualifying, but has got 14 points as a cushion, though that can very quickly change. The real talking point for me is that with a single point between himself and JST, Kai Pearson is going to start P20. He's going to start back of the grid.
I'm really curious to know why. Was he setting himself the challenge of last to first? He's certainly quick enough to do it. And no disrespect to the rest of our drivers, because they're all absolutely phenomenal. This may not be the top tier, but you're not literally knocking on the door of it. You are still talking about some of the very best league racers out there. You've got to be, near godlike to be in this tier, let alone compete and win on a regular basis that some of our drivers do. So, yeah, these are still some phenomenally fast drivers.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
be setting yourself a challenge of last to first, someone's had their bravery pills. I suspect that if he was doing that, I would have questioned why he would have come out of qualifying in the first place.
Well, I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think he was just pushing too hard, because, as I say, he did join in late, and so credit, like, fairness where it is due. The big thing though is that he was invalid on the time that he was out. He went into the pits, yes, but that's because he had an invalid run. So he was going for it. And I think the cards have just not fallen in his favor tonight. So he is going to have to fight upwards. I'm not seeing anything on the stewards' inquiries. In fact, I'm seeing a lot of penalty removals more than I am penalty applications. The only penalties we got from last time is 5 seconds for Yone Dovzan with an incident with Klappenbach, and then a 5 second for Andre Molnar. All the rest are warnings. Oh, with Leroy Brown as well got a penalty. But all the rest are, in fact, penalty removals. 5 second removal, 3 second removal, and just say more of a sort of track limits double warnings than anything out of Saudi Arabia. So nobody's coming in with quali bans. Nobody's really coming with chips on their shoulder, points on their shoulder on the penalty license. And yeah, I think it genuinely just was a situation where he didn't have enough time. He went full push without having a banker, and he just couldn't get a lap on the board.
Indeed, and so, but we are counting down to start the session. So, actually, 3 drivers haven't selected their cars. Okay, well, good luck to you. We might have a few people that are in the wrong vehicle. I think Gemsy should be in an Aston. Kai, we know, should be in an Alpine. My screen has them in nothing, so, well, too late. Here we go. We are heading in to what is going to be a 32-lap race with quite I say quite an unusual grid, but some people definitely out of position to where they should be. So we're in for some fireworks.
Yeah, we certainly are. And just a refresher, the kind of track we're dealing with here is a 4.9 kilometers, 19 corners, some iconic history throughout the circuit, and it is going to certainly be a test of drivers' patience as well as a test of drivers' bravery. Some of these areas of the track, you go for overtakes. It is very much a high commitment situation. Like, for instance, Variante Alto. You want to get the moves done coming out of Tosa, for instance. You want to lock it in before Piratella because you don't want to go side by side to Aqua Minerale, but you want to get the good exit into the 3rd sector. Tamburello, a very tight left, right, left, and one that you cannot compromise if you want a good time. But that is enough dilly-dally, that is enough jibber-jabber, and we are going trackside, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed. So now we have the moments where the drivers choose their setups, choose their strategies. Of course, it is a pit stop race. They will have to pit once in the course of the race. If they pit more than once, it usually spells a disaster for them. Safety car, not impossible, not as common in here in Imola. So we will see how that transpires. There were a few question marks over driving standards from last time out, but we will see if that transpires this time. I hate this bit. I just want to get on with it.
This is the part of suspense, but there we go. There is the call. We have 3, 4, 5 red lights. The track is hot here in Imola, and it's about to get going. It's a great start from the likes of Benzoni, Marquardt, JST, all getting a really good run out of here. First lap off to an absolute flyer for the summer. There's already contact. There's a massive smash up. Look at that. 3 drivers, Lefted, Labella, Moldovan, all already out. Safety car coming out, no doubt about it. There is carbon corpses strewn over just that first straight.
Wow. Not even a sector done.
Not even a corner done, Kodiak.
Oh my goodness me.
What do you make of 3 cars, Labella, Moldovan, and Konamoya, aka Lefted, all out within 10 seconds of the race start? I have to wonder what happened. I don't know what happened there. Is it just cars converging? I think they were going for a space that just did not exist.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. I must admit I wasn't entirely looking midfield. I was keeping an eye on what was going on up front, and then suddenly I was Lefted's car. I suddenly caught being kind of festooned towards the wall, but I didn't see what led up to it. So unfortunately we don't have the option of live action replays or any some such. So we now have to wait for the field to catch the back of the safety car. Vast majority of drivers going for a hard tyre start. A few risking the mediums. Riccardo Benzoni, our pole sitter, is one of them. So he's got a few laps less to make the mediums last. Before Klaffenbach in 7th being the next, and Leroy Brown from 12th being the next one again. So a few cars in the pits. Laminen, Gottschalk, Kemsey and Pearson have all decided to come into the pits. Are they changing from wins? Well, it wouldn't really matter if they were. They are swapping to medium tires. I can't see that there's no way those mediums will last to the end, but they are going to be that much more competitive in this stage of the race, as Nico Benz and Leo Lund are arguing over who's actually supposed to be in 5th. Well, I said there were going to be fireworks. I didn't expect them that quick.
Yeah, I think this is the equivalent of going to the fireworks display and they light the box on fire at the start rather than petering it out. But as things currently stand, Benzoni is looking really strong here. He's got the mediums. He started on the tyre that is going to do him a lot better in this first half of the race because he's effectively got 3 laps for free. Those tyres are not being pushed under the safety car period, so he can lean into the speed a lot more. He can be a lot more aggressive with those tyres if he wants to, and still carry a fairly conventional strategy. He's got, I'd say, a free couple of seconds. The other drivers are going to find it difficult to respond, unless DRS is going to come in and save them.
I'm still somewhat speechless by what we've just seen. And amazingly, driver chat is surprisingly quiet. I genuinely was expecting lots of accusations, but actually I'm not going to say who has said what, but one of the drivers has actually said, I think it's on me. So I mean, fair play if that actually proves to be the case. A racing incident, no doubt. There's no way that it's going to be one of those members. Why am I in the poll, by the way? So I've just been told my name is in the poll. I don't know what it was a poll for exactly, but just putting the silence put me completely off my stride there. That's made me chuckle. Whatever the poll was for, thanks, I suppose. But okay, I can see in the driver's chat there is a driver's point of view. I'm going to have a look at this whilst you keep an eye on the drivers as they currently circumnavigate the circuit.
Yeah, well, it's always good to see discussions, even with moments like that, being civil. I think it's very easy to get very sort of pent up, wound up, and drivers have that fighting spirit, so it's understandable in a way. Taking accountability, though, I think it takes a lot of sort of moral standing and strength of character to say, okay, I think that one might be on me, folks. Maybe that is my fault. I'll take that one on the chin. Even if it was not in the end, even if the stewards rule otherwise, which no doubt they are going to look at this. I think coming out and saying that does show a sort of sportsmanship and a strength of character, which is, I think, another very defining characteristic of Tier 2 and of this caliber of drivers. The willingness to improve and willingness to be honest about their driving is also another thing that sets them apart, because that's what pushes them forward. Anyway, time to see how we get on, because the safety car is now in and Benzoni leads.
That is true. So I just had a sneezing fit there. So my apologies. I'm glad I muted in time. I've had a look at this. I've had a look at the footage. I'm not convinced the driver that posted it was at fault. I can see why he thought so. I'm not entirely convinced. We'd need to see another angle of it. But enough of that. As drivers are lining up, chomping at the bit to get going. It's up to Benzoni when he drops it, and away he goes. We are racing once again here in Imola. It's Benzoni from Marquardt from JST screaming their way down towards that first chicane. McLaren side by side with Williams. Marquardt to the outside. Can he get it done? No, he bows out of that one early as Klaffenbach has gotten past his teammate. on the softer tyres. Marquardt is chomping at the bit to get past Benzoni. He's side by side again as we come up to the second chicane. The Williams is wrong-footed. The McLaren dives by as JST looks to follow suit. Can he get it done side by side now through through Tozer? I'm questioning myself now. Marquardt has the lead. Benzoni fighting off JST as they come up the hill towards Piratella. The second McLaren just denied at the moment.
Yeah, the second McLaren is really itching to get up there with his teammate because they know they can cooperate, they can work together. They are the same constructor, so they have got equal opportunity here to really make an impact. Benzoni, unfortunately, just cracking under the pressure as they went through Villeneuve and just taking a bit too much of a wide line. He was forced to get on the brakes, and that was all the invitation that the likes of Marquardt needed. But saying that, going back down further on the grid, looks like Leroy Brown has had a bit of a drop. He's missing an end plate and missing several positions as the rest of the field, oh, that's Chemsey up into the gravel there. Big compromise, and some drivers walking away with a hefty amount of damage. You can see end plate missing from the Aston too, and he's in the pits. Klappenbach though up at the top, going into P5, really trying to capitalize on those mediums.
Yeah, got a bit scrappy, unfortunately. I was riding on board with Tom Martinez as a few drivers, Molnar was actually spun round in the result of what was going on. Molnar onto softs? You're ambitious. Okay. There has to be a mistake, surely. Softs are not going to get you anywhere near to the flag, so Molnar does out there for his own gains. I guess if you are that far behind the pack, you want to do something different, but that's a little bit too different to make an impact on the top part of the race. That said, Marquardt is now starting to, well, I say starting to build a lead. He's trying to build a gap between himself and Benzoni, who's more interested in keeping his teammate behind, JSC behind. Kai Pearson from starting last is up into the top 10. He's just gone past Rez Imtiaz, and is actually right behind his teammate, the Race Clutch Alpines, 8th and 9th.
Yeah, I think he really got dealt a good hand at the start of this race. The incident, he managed to get an easy sort of 5-6 places amidst all the chaos. He had a really good start in and of himself, but that safety car kind of confirmed it for him, and since then he's just been pushing up the field. In a similar story to Klappenbach, he's just been really leaning on those mediums, knowing he has the grip on tap, being able to push and extract that pace, and that's what's seeing him currently in P9.
Thomas Lamenden in, new front wing going on to the Alfa Romeo, so that's going to drop him into the clutches of the three at the back. So that's going to give him a long race, but another safety car is not impossible here at Imola, as Kai Pearson has just swapped places with his teammate up at Piratella. I'm sure Joris Crossen didn't give him too much challenge on that occasion. So with Kai being on the medium tyres, it makes sense for the two Alpines not to fight too much and cost the youngster an opportunity at climbing up the field. Towards the top, actually Marquardt is building a bit of a gap there, so that's now nearly 0.6 of a second between himself and Benzoni. But of course, with DRS, the Williams is going to close that gap back down again. So JST is biding his time. He's not under the rear wing too heavily of the Williams, but again, both the McLarens on the harder tyres. Here comes Benzoni. That's the power of the DRS, and the Williams retakes the lead.
Well, JST, he knows he doesn't have to fight too hard because he's on a fundamentally different strategy. He's on the hards. He is in very good standing with that compound being considered, and he can take a later swing because he will be switching to the mediums on his pit stop. So just keeping the pressure on Benzoni, making sure that he stays honest, that's what it's all about here.
Yep, absolutely true. But that lead is going to change hands potentially quite a few times before the checkered flag falls. We're nowhere near pit stop phases, or planned pit stop phases, I should say, for our drivers just yet. So the DRS chain for the lead stretches from first right the way down to 13th position. Tom Martinez taking the tail end of the field as Laminen and Chemsey swap round. I beg your pardon, Laminen and Brown swap round for 14th place. They did. They absolutely did. And JST having to defend against Klaffenbach, who's streaming through on those medium tires, tries to give a hip check to the champion, not having any obvious. Maria now makes it 3 wide, coming into toes of the Haas, now losing out. JST just managed to defend against one. But here comes Maria on Klaffenbach now. Those two side by side. The Haas getting a bit uncomfortable up into Piratella. They remain where they are. Leo Lund had the greatest see in the house for that entire battle. Now they've got to really push to catch back up to Benzoni and Marquardt. Oh, the Pearson! Pearson, sorry to cut you off there, Sappy. Pearson ended up side by side with Nico Benz, 2 into 1. Very rarely ever works at Upper Grassini or Variante Alta, and that is Pearson down into 13th place. He's still in the DRS train, but that's all that hard work is gone. Didn't see anything fly off the car, but we'll see if he's able to work his way back through the field, but that will be very much red mist onto the youngster. So hopefully he can just reset his mind, get back into the swing of things. Far, far easier said than done. I absolutely admit Nico Benz getting close to the back of Nando Morea, but not in a place where he can use that momentum. As 14 changes hands between Laminin and Brown, they're having their own race. They're, again, DRS swapping the same as the leaders are over the line at the moment. But Nico Benz is all over the back of the Scala Ferrari. He's trying to position himself to make a move, but gets a bit uncomfortable. Once again, through Variante Alta, the tail of that Haas is not biting him when he needs it. But again, unless he's going to make an absolute banzai move down to Ravazza, that's not where he needs the traction. It's here where he needs it. So who's going to change position again? Marquardt looking at the back of Benzoni. Benzoni can do nothing. But what will the McLarens do? They're going to hold station. They've got a big enough gap back to Klaffenbach, but Benz does get past Morea for 6th.
Amazing stuff there. Side note, I have just been informed that I was muted for the last 5 minutes, despite me never hitting a mute button of any kind. So welcome back to the box me. And with that, it's looking like absolute pandemonium for some of these drivers here. Unfortunate to see Pearson drop down the way that he did, and really has sort of set a fire under him. He has held on by a thread, and in fact he has got past Gottschalk to get into P12, so the fight is certainly not over in his eyes. But my question and my worry for him now is that, is there going to be too much fight? It's very easy to get wound up and get frustrated, and then the fire really starts fighting for you, in the sense of not being able to, well, sometimes regulate yourself, and that's when more mistakes start to creep in. We've got to be very careful of that as Pearson.
Yeah, very true. Andre Molnar's decided enough's enough. He's parked the car. So that makes our 4th retirement of the night as our leaders work their way through Ravazza once more. Benzoni from Marquardt from JST. So Benzoni's not been able to utilize those tires as well as he would like. Such is the power of the DRS. Marquardt is not pushing hard. He's just using DRS. He's using almost no battery energy at this stage. Just staying where they are. The drivers now just settling into a management phase at this time. So when the tire changes happen, that's when all the gloves come off. No holds barred for our field. But where will this put the likes of Benzoni and Klaffenbach and Martinez, Pearson and Gottschalk, all of them on the medium tires? They're going to be swapping to the harder compound at a time when everyone's going to be pushing. What are they going to do? Kempsey trying to push. He's very much on his own in 16th position, but that's the first track limits penalty we've seen.
Yeah, and unfortunate to see. We're coming up to, say, just after, say, lap 10, lap 11 now. And I think that the likes of Benzoni, Klaffenbach, and to an extent, Tom Martinez, Kai Pearson, they also still have a chance there. Because they will have to be on the hards, yes, but they will have track position. If they can lock in their defensive strategy and place their car right where their opponent doesn't want it to be, then they could see themselves retain the position despite the pace advantage that they're being put up against.
Well, we will see. I think the DRS is a bit too strong for it myself, as Maria is he's lost 2 positions there.
That's both AvaTauris.
Both. It is, yeah, both AvaTauris. Well, I think Yerne Dobzan was somewhat opportunistic there, following Reyes Imtiaz through, but doesn't he gain a position as well? So everybody's just lurking at the moment, staying very large in the rearview mirrors of the car ahead of them, but they're slowly building that energy back up. They're using tiny bits of it just to help maintain their pace and slowly building the batteries up to the final assault. That's going to be painful for Nico Benz. So in trying to maintain his pace, he's just pushed his luck one time too many, and that is a track limits penalty for the Haas. Now, we know some of them get overturned upon appeal, but he's not under pressure. He's not kind of counter-punching. We've seen him change position a few times, but for the last few laps, certainly he has been very much status quo, as that's a move down. Oh my god, that's Crutzen! Joris Crutzen's overdone it and he's flown off the road at Ravazza. That's dropped him down to 13th.
Alpine's day has not gone well. It is a very no good bad day for both Alpines here. Pearson with the 2 wide issue, and then Crutzen just overdoing it coming out of Ravazza here. Tom Martinez going to defend against Moreira there, and is going to get a move done on him, but not without a severe fight, because Moreira was getting very close to the back of that Mercedes for a split second, and you can even see that fight continue as he gets close up once again. Kai Pearson is up to P11 now, so decent recovery effort thus far, but yeah, really not looking good for either of them. Makes me wonder where they're going to land in the championship after all this.
Very true indeed. Well, as we continue to work our way towards Grassini or Variante Alta once again, McLaren's very, very close, but they're not going to race each other. That was not a good exit for Benzoni, but Mark chooses not to try and capitalize on it, trying to still build that very valuable ERS energy. Is anyone going to be coming into the pits as we are fast approaching the halfway stage, as Pearson pounces on Moreira on the way down towards Ravazza? Yes, we have got some pitters in. That is Benzoni and Klaffenbach have chosen to come in. Our race leader in the Williams and the next medium runner in line of Klaffenbach have chosen now to pit. Now, what do the McLarens do? Do they choose to try and run at this point, or are they just going to continue to turn the miles? They're on that alternative strategy to those who have just pitted, as you say, but will they try and build that gap? I don't know that they're going to. Out comes Benzoni just ahead of Klaffenbach. Completely free air for them. So how hard are they going to push? Are they going to try and preserve their energy or try and push to maximize their tire advantage right now? We will see. I suspect they're going to push for a little while, but again, they know what they're planning to do. And Leo Lund is really close to losing DRS on the back of the McLarens, I just realized. So this may be a bit of an incentive for JST and Joel Marquardt to push on a bit, as that's a big tail whack for JST. That's given an advantage back to Leo Lund.
Yeah, and that has sort of netted him back within about the half a second range. So Kai Pearson as well, get a pass to Martinez to make himself home in P7. He's starting to get up to, or in fact, I think he is now up to where he was before his incident. So he's getting back on familiar territory. And this is where I think the McLarens are going to churn a few more laps on these hards. They're going to take it as much as they can. Then they're going to have one driver pit after the other on different laps. They can potentially break the DRS train here if they can get out of a second. Although they were looking on the cards for that, doesn't look to be the case anymore. If they could break a second barrier, or at least just get some steady miles on the hards in good form, then their medium stint is going to be very promising.
Klaffenbach and Benzoni swap rounds in the usual style, should we say, down into turn one, down into the first part of the Tamburello chicane. Now, Tom Martinez is having to push very, very hard to close that gap down to the top six, because they were outside of DRS. Kai Pearson did not have DRS along that start-finish straight. He burned up quite a bit of battery to close that in. But Tom Martinez is down to near single figures of ERS. So, because he's trying to push hard to get back into DRS range, he has just about managed it. but that is going to be very, very costly for Tom Martinez. He's going to be due into the pit soon as well. So I think that is going to backfire on the Mercedes driver at this point in time. Still no pit stops for Martinez, well, for anybody inside the top 10, although that is Nando Morea that has chosen to come in. Now, I wonder whether because he has lost quite a few positions since the start. Is there a new front wing going on the Ferrari? No, just a fresh set of mediums for the Portuguese driver.
Yeah, I think he's just decided that if he's going to see all of these medium runners go and get some really good pace and he's in the middle of the pack, he can afford to be a bit earlier on those yellow walls in order to really try and maximize pace. I think at this stage you can get away with a couple early laps on the medium, because once they start to wear out and really lose their advantage, you have the track position anyway, and it's one thing to have a pace advantage, but it's another to use it to attack.
Very true. Imola doesn't have a lot of medium to high speed corners in it. It's got the early 2 chicanes, but it does have quite a lot of low speed corners. So tire degradation, not as severe as in some places. So running the mediums longer is not quite as detrimental as it is in some other places. Another thing that Nando Morea will bear in mind is that he's got Thomas Lamond and Leroy Brown not that far behind him. Far enough that they're not immediately challenging the position, but he would have certainly been interested in getting out without fighting in traffic to make best use of those medium tires. That said, he is still 8 seconds behind Benzoni and Klaffenbach as the McLaren swap round again coming into the first chicane.
Yeah, and that's really all they can do right now. It doesn't look like they're making a substantial gap to that Red Bull in P3. So all they can do is just maximize the DRS through swapping with each other, or if not swapping with each other, using it to charge battery, because it's also a good tool to get about 15%, I'd say, depending on the circuit, 10 to 15% on your battery for almost free.
Yeah, quite agree. As Chemsey is in the Aston Martin. It's been a very lonely race for him, and he has decided to park it. That's our 5th retirement of the night. That's a great shame for Sammy Chemsey. It's not been a great start to the season for him. Didn't score points in Bahrain, and sadly didn't finish. Well, he adds another DNF to his season tally. But up top, though, Kai Pearson, he's just pounced on... Well, he's still trying to pounce actually on Yone Dovzan. As Leroy Brown adds his name to the penalty board. Pitters in, Marquardt, Lund. Oh, 5 drivers in indeed. So we've got Marquardt, Lund, Benz, and Imtiaz and Crutzen have all chosen now to bring their cars in. So those that are still going, now they need to sprint. JST's got no immediate challenge behind him, so he's got an opportunity to try and make the overcut work.
Well, those top 3 that have stayed out, they weren't exactly in a position of choice because their teammates have been the ones to take the pit box. So they, like it or not, had to go out a lap extra or risk double stacking, which is going to be a death nail to any pace here. Look at
Morea! Morea's got 2 of them. He's got Crutzen and Imtiaz. So that 2-lap deficit, he's going to hurt towards the end of the race, true. But did the undercut work well for Morea? Bear in mind, he was around about 10th or 11th when he came in. And that's where he now sits with at least 5 cars ahead of him still to pit.
Yeah, it's looking very good for Morea there. Their early pit stop has worked out in his favour, especially with the 5 retirees. That is going to see his race result be pretty strong, pretty solid. And this is why you continue, even in the face of adversity, because as drivers retire, those who remain have more and more chance of guaranteed points.
More cars in. JST, Dolphsan,
Pearson
and
not pitting?
Gottschalk. Kyle Pearson and Martinez both choosing to go another lap on those medium tyres. Is that a step too far? Well, we are about to find out, as our 3 fresh pitters are going to be passed by. That is Benzoni and Klaffenbach have managed to leapfrog this group. So Klaffenbach taking over what it will become the race lead from Benzoni. Marquardt, Lund, Benz. So JST is down behind Nico Benz. So that hasn't gone well for the second McLaren.
He's going to have to put in a lot of work to get back up to his teammate. because London Benz, they are formidable opponents. They've shown that they can really get the elbows out if push comes to shove. So I do not envy JST's position.
Leo Lund, he's making himself known in the mirrors of Marquardt at the moment. So Jean Marquardt, he's in a pretty good spot at the moment, but it really depends on how long that tyre advantage lasts for. He's got Benzoni and Klavenbach 5 seconds down the road, but he's got a very hard charging Leo Lund right on his tail as Gottschalk adds his name to the penalty board. He's in 13th in the second Red Bull. Our top two are in. Pearson and Martinez have now come into the pits. This is going to be fascinating on where they filter out. I'm not convinced that strategy is going to work too well, but I've been proven wrong many times when it comes to tyre strategy. So we'll see how it translates. Leo Lund staring at the back of Marquardt. DRS overtake coming up for the Red Bull. Here comes the House of Benz. He had to get out of it. He had so much overspeed, he couldn't use all of it. Otherwise, he would have slammed into the back of Leo Lund. Benzoni has the lead from Klavenbach now.
Yeah, we saw the trade between Benzoni and Klavenbach and then just jumped in to see Benz having to take the faster line just through the... He couldn't back out of it, like you said. He was really sort of stuck between a rock and a fast place because it would have been him or the back of Leo Lund. There was nowhere where he could go, but he still managed to execute and has done so quite well. So P4 on track, though with the penalty accounted for, that nets him about P9.
So Joris Krotson in a bit of an awkward position here. He's not in DRS range to Nando Morea. He's going to have to push hard if he wants to get that, as he has got Yannick Dovzan in the AlphaTauri right on his tail. So what does he choose to do? Does he just bide his time and see if the slight tyre advantage he's got comes his way? He's not using an awful lot of ERS at this point in time. He's not going to have DRS this time around. He's 1.5 seconds off at the back of the Ferrari. So that's not worked out well for Krutson as Klavenbach and Benzoni continuing their game of leapfrog up front.
I know we talked about the McLarens reuniting. This is not what I had in mind. Marquardt is now down in P5 after London Benz's move. London Benz, in fact, are continuing to trade blows and trade track space. You can see that Red Bull very hungry to get the space back after a brief moment of them swapping for that podium. And right close to the back of that Haas there, looking very hungry for that move.
I think they're just going to let their tyre advantage pull in the top two. That's what I'm thinking they're doing. They're just going to let the laps roll by for now as Morea. Oh, that's going to be painful. That's going to deny him a potential points, a potentially strong points paying position as well. He's had a mistake somewhere. He's suddenly 1.1 seconds off the back of Imtiaz in 7th, who is in this DRS train from 3rd. Oh, Kai Pearson and Tom Martinez as well. Getting penalties, pushing that a little bit too hard to try and make up for lost time. Like you said earlier, Sappy, it has not been a night for the Alpines. They're 10th and 11th, one with a penalty.
Add to worse, I think, is the theme right now, as some of them are just trying to sort of damage control it, I think, at this point. Like, you got instance Nico Benz doing amazingly well, really good on the pace, really good on track, but has got the 3-second penalty. So whichever way he slices this, he is still going to lose a lot of positions. He has pushed enough to where he'll now be P8 instead of P9, final result, but that doesn't really soften the blow. It's like a band-aid on what is otherwise a very deep wound.
Very true indeed, but what about this group of medium tyre runners catching up to our top two? 2.3 seconds separates what is now Benz leading this train to his teammate Julian Klavenbach. They're still dicing with Riccardo Benzoni, our pole sitter for the race. So what will they have left? At this rate, they will be there. They will catch what is now 2 seconds now to the top two. They've got older and harder tyres on. Is it going to be enough laps for that advantage to swing back their way? I'm not entirely convinced it will. But for now, Riccardo Benzoni continues to fend off the advances of Julian Klavenbach. Again, the DRS game of leapfrog continues between those two. 2.5 seconds separates Benz from Benzoni. That's Moraes suddenly lost 2 positions there. That were Krutson and Dovzan. I think again that was DRS. I think that was Krutzer making the move, and Yone nail himself to the back of the Alpine.
I don't know, because it looks like Maria lost a lot of pace, and it continues to lose a lot of pace because
Yeah.
Pearson has just got by with relatively little fight. It's not like he's running particularly older tires. I think he's just struggling for control of that Ferrari.
A problem for Nando Maria then, which is a shame. Started strong, but has undone himself. And yeah, he's lost already 7/10 to the back of Kaya Pearson, which on its own is nothing to be too upset about. But yeah, Nando Maria is quicker than this, and he's just falling away at a hell of a rate of knots. Now Gottschalk is looking to make the Ferrari's day even worse, although the Red Bull didn't have a particularly good run through Variante Alta there, as that's a yellow flag, and that's Laminen. Oh no, Thomas Laminen that's a safety car.
Laminen has crashed out coming out Piratella. And that is it. That is it for him.
Well, Nico Benz. Now, did he choose to... No, I think he was actually far enough behind the pit lane to actually have come in if he chose to.
He could have come in.
But everybody else has come in.
And they're going all on the softs. Benz is a sitting duck. He has really missed a trick here, I think. Double stack or otherwise, he is not looking in a very good spot because the rest of the cars are going to catch up. And by the time we get back to racing, it's going to be lap 26, which means that these are going to be soft runners in prime form, up to temperature. Benz is really, really going to be sitting there a little bit anxious, I imagine.
Leo Lund has chosen mediums. Why? Why on earth? Oh, okay.
I feel like that is it's either a mistake or he's used up all of his softs from quali.
But we've had a lobby restart, so that wouldn't matter.
That's true. I don't know what the rationale is. Maybe he's hopefully leaning on putting on a really good defensive job and
unless he is banking on the fact that the softs may not last. I'm not convinced about that. I think they will. With the amount of laps we'll have left, I think the softs, they won't be very happy about it, but they'll last.
Yeah, they will last. You have at least 4-5 laps of prime time on these softs before they start to go. So that strategy on the medium, I really do question it. I don't think it's the call.
They'll wait to be proven here. What is Leo doing? He's lawn mowing. What? He's either very frustrated or... And now, what is Nico doing? What is going on up front?
Nico's pitting. I think Nico's realised, although a little bit too late.
He left it very, very late. But he's...
Yeah, I think that's just bad to worse, though. Honestly, he should have stayed out at that point. He had committed.
It was too late. I mean, he had the penalty anyway, and he was on the harder tyres. I think he's may well have made the right decision here, as Leroy Brown has also pitted again.
Yeah, I think Leroy Brown, he's down in P14, so he can sort of get away with it in a way. But yeah, I'm very hung up on Nico Benz to say he missed the pit lane initially or just chose not to go in. Fair enough, but to go in on the lap after when everyone's already clumped together, he'll be dead last, yes, with fresh softs, but he would have still been able to preserve maybe a P6, a P7 just by holding it out.
I think the penalty alone would have negated that. I think he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. He may as well go onto the soft tyres.
I think perhaps it'd just be fastest lap at that point.
Yeah, I think he's kind of conceded that the penalty's going to stand. I suspect he'd probably earned another warning, which was probably incontestable. I think he's accepted the fact that the penalty is going to stand. So that now means the man that is most at risk at plummeting like a stone is Leo Lund, and he'll probably argue that this is the second safety car of the season that has completely knackered his race. Because, cast in mind back to the opening race that, he had that in the bag. He had Bahrain absolutely sewn up until the last minute safety car utterly ruined his strategy, and then he was caught in the traffic. So he might argue that the safety car has done this to him. I'm not convinced about it. I think that is a mistake that he's fitted the If he can make that work, if he can come away with the podium, that'll be driving the day. End of story.
Yeah, I think no contest. I'm very anxious to see how he pulls that off, because he is in prime position. He has got himself a good, a good spot on the track, and he has been known as a driver who knows how to fight. He knows how to put it wheel to wheel and really make his presence known to his opponents. So he has to get a good getaway here when the safety car inevitably comes in end of this lap. He has to absolutely nail the getaway and then see about just continuing that pressure both upwards and the likes of Marquardt, just making sure that his car is right where the McLaren doesn't want it.
Well, the field has reformed, so now that the last car has caught the back of the safety car train, by the time we get to the end of Sector 2, which is not far after Aqua Minerali, we should see the notification that the safety car is due in this lap. I'm going to be all eyes on Leo Lund. I suspect he's feeling very, very vulnerable right about now. So we'll see what he chooses to do. Safety car then coming towards Brian Tialta. He's gone past the end of Sector 2. Still no...
Yeah, right,
there it is. There it is. I was a bit later than I was expecting. It is usually by the end of Sector 2 that the declaration is made. It's not that's more my kind of guide than an absolute hard and fast. But the safety car now runs off. Julian Klaffenbach backs up the pack. And what does the field choose to do here? What does Leo Lund... Well, Leo Lund is committed to it. He's done 2 laps, like most everyone else has, on their tyres. He is going to stick with it. He opted not to follow Nico into the pits to get a fresh set of soft boots on. Julian Klaffenbach leads the field around Ravazza. Everyone is staring at the back of that Haas, not least of which Riccardo Benzoni. And away we go. We are racing here in Imola. Everyone has got their overtake button nailed. But look at the gap, Benzoni to Lund. That's already 7/8 tenths of a second. He's being challenged by Marquardt. Can Imtiaz follow through? The McLaren nearly on the grass trying to challenge, but Leo Lund manages to defend. Now here comes Reyes Imtiaz trying to challenge the McLaren. Can't get it done. Joel Marquardt hangs on to 4th, but amazingly, everyone remains where they are. But Klaffenbach with a penalty! Oh, from the race lead!
No, it's an absolute death nail there, because unless he can get a gap now, he is looking as good as... Well, yeah, if you account for the other drivers, he's going to be P9, I think, if my numbers serve. No, P8, my mistake. But there you go. That is going to be brutal to him. So unless it gets revoked, which you can never bank on, you can't bank on a penalty getting revoked, he's going to really have to change his dynamic, change his outlook on what this race is going to be for him. And that leaves Benzoni a new lease of life.
Somewhat, yeah. It doesn't have to challenge because Leo Lund is already a second behind. So he's just dropping like an absolute stone. Benz gets ahead of Leroy. Well, there's no DRS available at the moment anyway, but he's already too far back. So prime opportunity then for everyone behind to try and attack, but Marquardt's too far back. Benzoni manages to leapfrog again ahead of Klaffenbach before the braking zone. So the Williams now back up into the lead. 1.2 seconds separates the field from the top 2.
Yep, and that is going to be, and I think this is sort of Leland's strategy. If he is going to be on the mediums, he is going to be that roadblock, and he is going to make it very clear that he is impassable. Yone Dobzan, though, big drop down into P14. They've, in fact, had a bit of a mistake there. They've spun coming out of Villeneuve and into Tosa. They are going to be several seconds behind, so that is very much going to be a sort of a farewell call to Dobzan's points there. Kai Pearson up into P10 has made the push around Gottschalk and has got an opportunity to at least take some points home from today's affairs.
Yone Dobzan makes his day even worse by adding his name to the penalty board. I tell you who this saves is Joris Krotzen. Bear in mind, it wasn't that long ago when the Alpes were 10th and 11th. Now Krotzen, our championship leader, He's ahead of his two next championship rivals, being his own teammate Kai Pearson and, of course, JST. Now DRS is open. Now we'll start to see some work going on. Leo Lund's had to burn a lot of battery to stay in DRS range of the top two. But, of course, that's dragged the rest of the field with him. Yeno does bring his car into the pits. Is he going to retire it? Seems not. It looks like he's going to continue for now.
Yep, and good to see him continue, because that would have just been... Well, in a matter of pride, you want to see a finish rather than a DNF, even if there's no points on the table. We're human, we want to see ourselves at least make it to the end of the race, and with a couple laps to go, what's the harm? So bring it home, bring it to the next race, and maybe a chip on your shoulder because things haven't gone your way, but certainly bringing that car home is a bit more of a statement to your resilience there.
3.5 laps to go here in Imola. It's going to be an absolute brawl for the rest of our field. As no, our champion has got his name on the penalty board. That is a very rare thing to see indeed. Well. So there goes his immediate challenge to Nando Morea. That's the top 6, minus Julian Klaffenbach, who also is on the penalty board. We only have 5 drivers remaining that aren't on the penalty board. 9 drivers of remaining 14 have a penalty.
Yeah, so Benzoni here, as much as he does want to get the track win, he wants to win it on track, he knows that he can take a little bit of pressure off, because either way, he is going to inherit that position. He wants to get it on track anyway, just in case it gets revoked, but I think it's certainly a little fresh air. Though Leo Lund, interestingly, a driver who has done very well, despite being on the mediums, he's kept good pace.
He has. I really thought he was just going to absolutely plummet, but he is managing to keep those medium tyres up with the softs, and probably by now the soft tyre advantage is gone. So Leo Lund might, despite my earlier protest to his tyre call, might actually be in a position to win this. He doesn't have to challenge Julian Klaffenbach, as Nico Benz makes his day even worse. Yeno Dovzan in the pits again. Okay. Each to their own, I suppose. So Leo Lund, if he can continue the challenge to Benzoni, might actually be in a position to take the top spot on a contra tyre strategy to everybody else. Here we go. Benzoni on Klaffenbach. Leo Lund on Klaffenbach, and he nudges the back of the Williams, but they managed... Oh, and he gets shoved off by Klaffenbach. Leo Lund is on the grass. Oh, Marquardt has gone through. Leo Lund nearly has an incident. Reyes Imtiaz goes through. Well, there went my prediction. The commentator's curse is strong in me tonight.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Lund. They really just got caught in a bad position. I do not envy him, because the pressure is so hard on him. He knows that he is at a sea of soft runners, that they had the greater initial pace. Things were starting to turn around for him, and by all accounts, he had it on the cards. And I wonder if the stewards are going to look at that action from Klaffenbach there, maybe not leaving the space, although we couldn't get the best angle of here on the camera.
I fear you may be right on that one. I'm not sure should that be reported. It is up to the drivers. It's not up to the stewards to do it for them. The drivers have to make the appeal. I don't know if that's going to go particularly favourably for Julian Klaffenbach, but we will see. There's still, I was going to say, still plenty of action to go. There's only 1 lap left.
There's only 1 lap left. It all comes down to this. Klaffenbach keeps the fight going. Just because he's got a penalty to his name does not mean that the racing spirit has diminished by any extent. Marquardt, just a quarter of a second behind. He wants to chase and close that gap all the same. Joris Krotzen down in P6. He's going to be potentially looking for something here. He's going to go for it on Race MTS, but has to bail out coming into Villeneuve now. Up into Tosa. It's looking like curtains for some of these drivers. JST is going to chase down Moreira and is going to be looking for moves as well. They know that it's crunch time. They can see just that Ferrari. Oh, very narrow to the inside, but JST is going for it anyway through Piratella. Big switchback coming through, and JST is dropping down not only to Moreira after the move, but Tom Martinez has gone through Acromirale.
Yeah, it was a bit of a desperate move from JST, and it has backfired badly. And that's another one. That's Kai Pearson coming through. Oh, side by side. No, but Kai's been spun again. That's twice Kai has tried a side by side into Variante Alta, and twice it has backfired on him.
Yeah, brutal there. Leroy Brown going to make a shot for P9, but that's all been said and done. As you can see, Nico Benz, I think that's well, I say that's interesting there, but that is going to be Yoni Dolzan, in fact, as Benzoni takes the win after the penalties. Klaffenbach takes it on track, but Benzoni is your Imola winner for PC Tier 2. Marquardt second, Lund in third, despite the setback. Great stuff from all three, and for the rest of the field too, putting it to the very, very end.
Wow. Driver, I mean, Kai Pearson did a great job from last. No doubt about it. But how on earth those tyres hung on, well, how Leo Lund hung on with, well, his medium tyres were probably coming good, actually. But your winner for this race from pole, Riccardo Benzoni, with the fastest lap as well. So he's actually taken the entire, all his available silverware. He's done the lot. Fair play to the Williams drivers. John Marquardt take a bow in second place. Leo Lund in third. After a tyre strategy I did not think was going to work, but he has come home on the podium. Reyes Intias in fourth position. Another strong finish for him. Joris Krotson all the way up into fifth place from what was looking like a disastrous race for him. Klaffenbach into sixth, which may well be questioned again because of some of the impacts going on. Moraes 7th, Martinet 8th, Leroy Brown 9th, JST all the way down to the 10th in the end, at the end of that race. Gottschalk 11, Benz 12, Kai Pearson, or Pi Kearson, I was about to say, in 13th place, Yerne Dovzan 14. Those that didn't see the flag were Laminen, Chemsey, Molnar, Lefted, Labella, and Moldovan.
It's unfortunate to see them not make the end of the race. Sadly, yeah, they didn't get it to the end, either through retirements of their own or in the case of the bottom three. Just that incident at the start, that was brutal. It felt like, as we said earlier, it's just the entire fireworks box was just ignited at the start. They didn't get even a chance to put on some racing chops before they were sideways in walls and tyres missing. But that is where we wrap the race, at least. Let's see. Hopefully we get a chance to chat to our top three runners. But tensions tend to be high. Tensions seem to be high for some.
Well, they always are. There always are a fair bit of toing and froing going on. But wow, yes, there will be some things going to the stewards box after this one. I am pretty sure that will be the case. That said, we will hopefully have a chance to chat to our top three. So Riccardo Benzoni, Leo Lund, and it was, I've forgotten, Joel Marquardt. I will put a message in chat to see if they want to come and have a chat to us.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, hopefully we get a chance to chat to them, but it's also a cool down time.
Yes.
And cool down in the literal sense of the word, because I've seen some of these drivers' conversations, and I admire the strength of will to be on the other end sometimes. But it is the spirit of the racing, is the heat racing.
Our race winner has declined. That's a shame, because I was really hoping we could have a chat to Benzoni.
Well, no, fair enough.
it's fair enough. It's not mandatory. We don't. It's not like we can force a microphone under their nose, but it is always nice to have a chat to our podium three. But he says he's taking a shower. I don't blame him. He's had to work very, very hard for what's been a very successful night for Benzoni.
Yeah, very successful. He got the pole, he got the fastest lap, and he got the win of the race. You cannot get a better result than that. Fundamentally, there is nothing better that you can do as a race weekend goes.
We have got one of our podium three in, very glad to say. The man that has proven me wrong and won't be the last time to do so. Leo Lund, are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so the safety car comes out following Laminen's crash. You're the only one on the medium tires. Did you question that decision at that point?
My engineer said pit for mediums, and I said why, and they said, yeah, use pit for mediums.
Wow. So it was on the advice of the. You must have felt though on the warm-up lap, before the safety car came in, you must have thought this is the wrong way to go, or were you confident that your tires were going to be the ones to be on by the end?
I was a little bit confident because I know I had pace on the mediums, but if I was gonna get eaten up by the soft runners.
I confess I was one of the ones that are saying that was the wrong call, but I'm very well known for making the making the wrong decision, or making the wrong prediction, I should say, when it comes to tire strategies. I'm very, very happy to say that you proved me right. I certainly, when the safety car came in, you almost dropped outside of DRS. Okay, DRS wasn't active at that time, but it looked like, yeah, exactly, to say you were going to be absolutely swallowed up, but absolutely brilliant driving to stay in that DRS range.
Yeah, there was no need to push so much ERS because I kind of knew I was gonna catch it later, not on the same lap as the restart was.
Goodness me. I mean, well played. Absolutely well played. So where are we next time? Azerbaijan, I believe.
Yeah.
So Baku, what are your thoughts?
Lovely track.
Wow, a complimentary statement from Leo Lund. We are on a very good day. Great stuff, Leo. Well done. Absolutely exemplary driving. My driver of the day to make that strategy work. Take a well-earned rest. Thank you very much, Leo Lund.
Thanks.
Do you want to take this one, Mr. Sappy? We have our next interviewee.
Oh, there we go. That is Joel Marquardt. And can you hear us, my friend?
Hello, good evening.
Well, welcome to the commentary box. Welcome to, a very good result on the podium. How are you feeling after tonight? So you've had a good stint in the championship so far. You're P5 at time of writing, but with a really good result here in Imola. Is that what you came in sort of aiming for? Do you aim for a podium, or is Imola, say, not a stronger track for you? What were your thoughts going into the weekend?
Yeah, thanks first of all. Imola was one of my strongest tracks, or is one of my strongest tracks, and I really love it, this track. So I was confident. Of course, this grid is so stacked, and I peaked in quali. 12.9 was really, really good, and then I had my teammate behind me, so it was okay. And unfortunately, it goes at the end good to me. And I hoped they crashing ahead of me, and that was at the end the right choice.
Yeah, and just, I guess, talk to us a little bit about the sort of dynamic with your teammate. Obviously, you shared a lot of the track time tonight next to each other, and that can be a sort of positive. So were there sort of conscious efforts to work together? I saw you trading the DRS a little bit at some sections of the race. Just talk us through that. Talk us through the dynamic with your teammate tonight.
Yeah, in the first stint, I overtook Ricardo straight after the safety car restart with a nice switchback. So yeah, that was nice. And then 2-3 laps after it, we tried a double pass on the main straight, so that we could maintain the lead together. But Jay got a bit pushed, so yeah, don't know. It was logical that the hard runner or the medium runner want to undercut on the hard, so yeah. Box lap 17, so yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah, and it worked out, I've got to say, really nicely. Tell me, so when the safety car came out, lap 1, I don't think we can ignore it. It's like, what was going on in your mind? Because obviously you've just started the race and 3 drivers have immediately wiped out. Like, what was going through your head at that point?
Yeah, unfortunate for Jay because he was straight behind me, and softs was the only right option in this phase. So I had luck, so I could box for softs, and the whole field boxed for softs. So yeah, I don't know. I think Jay would get past me easily because he had so much race pace and also more ERS than me. Yeah, but at the end, it is what it is. Yeah, Jay got unfortunate. Yeah, sorry for him, but yeah. I'm happy about the P2.
Yeah, well, say certainly a result to be happy about. But Baku, Azerbaijan next race. What's the feel? What are your thoughts there?
I think I hate this track. So this track is such a horror. Yeah, I hope I get pace. I got pace in practice, so yeah, we will see. Normally I'm quite fast after a few lobbies, but Baku is such a difficult track, especially the middle sector. I hate it, and yeah, we will see.
We'll see indeed. But there you go. So brilliant stuff out there tonight. Take a well-earned rest, mate, and I guess mentally prepare yourself for next week out in Baku.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, that was Joel. And that is where we draw to a close for this evening. Of course, next week it is going to be Azerbaijan. So get yourself strapped in. Get your popcorn. Stay out of the castle section. You don't overtake in the castle section. You know the drill. You know that it's going to be a tight twisting challenge for all of the drivers involved. And as the stewards' inquiries roll in as we speak, we're going to be signing off for tonight. So I've been Sappy. He has been King Kodiak. And, well, what are your thoughts before we disappear on Baku, my friend?
I love Imola. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Baku is going to be a very, very different beast. It is going to be a very survival-based race.
Attrition.
So it could be quite atrocious. There will be those that flirt one too many times with the barriers, the castle section being particularly unkind to such attentions. I think we're in for a bit of a different beast next time around. But either way, our drivers are going to put on a great show. I can't wait. There's only one way to find out if it's going to be a good one, and that's to join us next time out.
Yep, and we will see you there, folks. Good night, and see you next time, same time next week.